slide to really just snuff out anything on that part. So you're playing off C site, you're playing light info on B site, and you're stacking A. So all of TSM is just naturally going to run into a 4-player stack, which looks even better on the highlight reel because Burger Boys just landed some clean shots by good crosshair placement. So that's a great start that you want to hear for the side of the defense here for Burger Boys. And this is what we're talking about, the test now with the wall, with the util, which is why here Vora is using his salvos at the very beginning, which is nice.
Okay, well, I think the Open managed to get through with the neon, but because of the smoke, it made things really tricky for TSM to know that wall was there or to cross together, and TSM are going to fumble over their laces, although they were just going to be at a disadvantage through the weapons, but at least now TSM can go forward knowing where that Vice wall is and what they're going to do to set up Sim for success after that.
Yeah, they should have. I mean, I was just saying the oh no because Retro should have died. GMD somehow, I think he TP'd over the wall, if I'm not mistaken, and dropped behind it, and then did get the surprise onto Retro, just couldn't get the kill. But yeah, everything there from looking at Burger Boy's setup on the C site, the Vice wall at that spot is actually quite normal as well. But the ways that you have to break those razor vines in the very beginning, and just making sure that in the future, if you're going to move across, maybe you're just going to do the same thing as if you had the raise on top of that in the composition that Burger Boys has. Just open TP when you run across, and then you still have some sort of a double dive into sight.
Well, TSM are not going to want to mess with that Vice wall, so they'll just play off their neon wall to try and pressure into tree. And even with the boom or the drone that was activated, Burger Boys are just not scared. They face the danger head on, have the spike being dropped. The Burger Boys have to open the door to see what's on the other side of the paranoia. Triple kill from GMD. Only W's to try and turn this whole round in TSM's favor.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, dude, but he planted the worst spot.
Oh, tough.
I mean, it makes sense. You already had the lurk up from Vora. He went towards the staircase, so naturally they're not going to come down towards that spot, and then you don't want to be exposed hugging into the outside wall in case somebody was dropped or heaven. So it's just understandable that GMD was planting behind that box. But dude, the plot armor, how the hell does Retro survive at 70 HP on top of that? When Sim was running through, GMD almost turned around back in favor here for TSM, but again, it's just a nice little wall bang towards the end with just unluckiness from TSM not knowing where the last two players were at. So Burger Boys converting a bonus is huge.
TSM don't have the best weapons going into this, and now have to experiment around this Vice wall that is going to close out Sim, isolate him from the rest. Sneaking by is GMD, and Bonnie deals with the rest of TSM. Big double kill from 7 makes this possible, but recoil upgrades to the Stinger, 1 versus 3 with the spike down. Not going to be easy.
Info of where the Omen is, though. He just flashed from door, so there is an opening for recoil to just focus into Waterfall.
There's a crouch up there. Try to get a lucky headshot, but hey, this is a fantastic start for Burger Boys.
Yeah. Fast tempos from TSM on the A side door and fast tempo on C side, both of them being fully denied. I mean, outside of GMD's heroic play towards that tree, TSM hasn't been having the best in terms of like fast hitting into these sites. So you're going to have to really start adding a little bit more lurks here at this point. I think it'll be smart if TSM still continues to protocol and condition the salvos into the site, which is happening right now. And then now you can start working around the map. Get the orbs, open the doors, force these rotates. And because TSM has been good here in these duels, in these fights against Burger Boys. So now if you're forcing them to fight head-to-head against you, instead of running into a bunch of util from Burger Boys, you might stand a chance.
Here's the mind games from TSM, opening that door for a fake. It is going to force the Tejo drone from Practo to check things out.
Oh, I got 2.
TSM are still in spawn, which may inspire Bonnie and Nanners to keep pushing through and challenge the Sentinel still in spawn. Here's the move. The Pawn's getting in position. Bonnie could be walled off here, and that is going to stop them from pushing through into spawn.
My ultimate is not ready.
They could drone though.
Going out.
You start droning and salvoing this spot and try to fight back towards A. And this is the map manipulation we're talking about. Force some players through. GMD could try to open a duel into the C site, and then we'll see what happens towards the end.
Okay, Burger Boy's still trying to play close. Well-timed paranoia is gonna blind Sim. Showstopper out. I don't even know how he could see
30 seconds left.
TSM narrowly dodging the splash of the Showstopper. And more mind games, more fakes. TSM off to C, playing off the deep dive from GMD. Now taking some shots. Knows there's a window to plant, and it is not as safe as they think.
Oh, there's double flanks too. Boris pinched.
So Rolling Thunder out. 7 is leading them to victory. You have GMD teleporting behind, so
Player standing.
Oh my
TSM
gosh.
invested in this to try and stop the win streak from Burger Boys. The most promising rifle round for TSM. It's just Retro now in the 1 versus 4. Trying to force TSM to buy up again, which would be pivotal.
I think he needs to save this weapon too. Bonnie is so low that Retro needs to get this drop for him.
Woo. 18 HP, 17 HP. And Retro
take that.
denies 2 weapons at the end. That's huge.
Denies 2, has a Rolling Thunder now into this round. That's huge. And he could drop for Bonnie as well. So this is actually quite nice towards the end for Burger Boys. Despite TSM getting that round, look at how expensive it gets for them still. Small shields, guarding for one of them. But everything out of here was exactly as planned. Even GMD getting that spot on C site, even if he doesn't win that duel, you already pushed that player away from the pillar because he threw a paranoia. Didn't allow here for really Burger Boys to set up here on the defense.
Cover going out.
TSM have hung back before, just
Drone going out.
seeing how aggressive Burger Boys are going to be off the rip. Drones coming out. TSM are still in spawn. The Burger Boys hold their ground. I'm probably expecting that Vice Wall once again to be over in the A lobby, so Burger Boys are going to adjust and converge through B and C if needed.
Big
TSM
round,
now
though.
have to figure out how they get through this Vice Wall.
It's a big win so far for Burger Boys. They just tried to go for a gamble, paranoia, open door, and try to punish into the front of the B site. But they still have Armageddon to open up C. So the only difference this time around, though, is that Alvin changed his setup a bit, so he has another Razor Vine at a different spot. So Sim might not be able to move up as quickly or freely as he wants to, and it delays enough here to allow for the retake for Burger Boys to already be in good position.
Now, Rolling Thunder ready for Retro. They're all lined up for it. You got Practo on the off angle and Waterfall. He's unsmoked. Burger Boys traverse. GMD cuts off 1, but Bonnie's already done the damage. And Retro's there with the follow-up. It's pretty even trades. You got a Steel Guard
What are
from
we doing?
Recoil to put the
Planted.
TSM back in the driver's seat. Keep Nanners on the side. Now he emerges through Waterfall, and it's TSM that protect the spike.
Yeah, we relied way too much on that Rolling Thunder for the retake of Burger Boys. So again, everything was perfect to funnel everybody towards that C site, to delay enough here for Alvin, or Alvin did enough delay for everything to start engaging into the retake. But I wish we actually invested into the Razor Vines as well, because you're rolling thundering into a site. The salvo's already been used in the first place. And then when you're going through, yes, players are stunned, but it's only cosmetics at this level, chat. So use your Razor, use the Steel Garden rather on the side of Burger Boys. Use that ult. They use it at a moment where you're already on site. It hasn't been fully activated. They get kills out of that on top of it for TSM before they even get their weapons disengaged. That was just a small fumble in Burger Boys. It might render costly for the rest of the half.
Yeah, if TSM can keep up this momentum. It's already been a lot of noise over at B. TSM don't want to risk staggering in. There are so many doorways and entries into B. It's so risky to go in blind. So TSM are back to square one, trying to scale up through A.
And you're hoping that Marshall can do some damage. Headshots would be good. It's nice in the hands of Bonnie. But now he's already giving his position away. They're counting the bullets.
Oh. Right, no lurk for GMD. Sheriff peek from Alvin.
It had
Not
to be a
rifle
small
he can
shield, right?
recover.
It had to be a small shield by from GD. I missed it, but from that distance, that was a nice shot from Alvin.
30 seconds left.
All right, can we see a nice overdrive from Sim?
No, we're not.
And just gets shotgun in the back. Okay, TSM makes up for it. But now this pesky Bonnie is behind TSM as they walk in, and no one turned around for him.
See what I mean? He gets fully stunned by the util of Teo and still gets 2 kills with it. That's why the stuns are cosmetics in this game. And that's why I don't think it should be changed, by the way, chat. Just keep it the way it is, because that's why you need that second piece of util to help out, right? Flash through so that you get the best value out of the stuns. If not, these type of kills happen. Very nice shots coming out from Bonnie. Nice little transfer onto the second one too, while stunned. But yeah, just individual duels that came out on the side here of Burger Boys, and we one-templed once again from TSM and just fell. We fell apart.
Okay, yeah, Nanner's really committed to that teleport. Past the neon wall. At least it's 1 for 1, and Bonnie has to be a star that shines, but TSM as a team are just different, especially for with 5 HP. Pulls out the 3K, leaving Alvin. Ooh, who expects recoil to be there when the spike and all the actions at A? So
Exactly. But on top of that, how the hell does recoil get 3 kills like that? The space was gained by Burger Boys. They got so much space off the showstopper, even a kill. On to 7. Yet Vora still lands 3 kills at that spot. Out in the open too. He wasn't even jiggling for anything. He just stood his ground and sprayed 3 guys down. That was insane. Look at this.
oh,
It was a 3 kill I wanted, but it doesn't matter.
It's fine. It was still cool, and
Yeah.
Burger Boys are just going to have to allow this Neon to make the space. He's trying to challenge it has not worked out. Now there's an Armageddon from Fracto. And TSM are in a lot of trouble having to step up and step past it. And with this door open, Bonnie gets a curveball in him. And TSM in a 2 versus 2 have to regroup.
Just booking it towards the C site. Right now, Bonnie only has a Guardian. Definitely Sim is going to beat them to the race and get the plant down, but they could maybe plant and flip the map into spawn. No, instead you're playing delay. I think recoil, they're just going to play their ones. So he's going to delay with Razor Vines. He's going to play watching flank, and then you're going to have Sim. If there's nobody pushing in through Waterfall, he's probably going to get a late lurk or try to crossfire back towards the end here from Waterfall in Bend.
Bonnie's trying to bait them to take the 1v1. And what a turn and burn on Sim. Bonnie, something else on Icebox. Now needs a team to really step up with him too. Last 1v1, clutched there by Recoil. And TSM making the comeback.
Dude, Recoil I'm getting flashbacks of Recoil when these 2 guys just got picked up to TSM and we're both like, who the hell are these guys? They're like the Cortesia and Shinam at home of MIBR, where both Vora and Recoil were just amazing into the challenger stage, both from using utility as their agents, but also just very clean on shots. And when those 2 guys were alive, you could definitely count on them to clutch the round for you. Look at that. I know it's crosshair placement and it's easy, but just to get 1 tap, it's just so satisfying to watch. And now the Econ's broken again for Burger Boys, but they were able to answer back last time.
Oh, Sim literally slips under the bullets, picks up a 2K, and it's causing havoc over at B. Great shot out of Retro to completely kill momentum for TSM. Now it's plan B to go to C. You got a Vice Wall to worry about and Thorns, so a lot of good delay created from Alvin to bring Retro Nanners into Waterfall and to start surrounding TSM now that they're stepping onto site.
Yeah, no util we'll have to work with. I mean, it's Paranoia that would be huge. They could play double flash. Oh, no, not again.
TSM are just ready. Such a good read on those players in Waterfall. Now it's just Retro once again. 1 versus 3. At least there's some injuries on the TSM side. The flash through the smoke, but not even allowed to have fun. TSM tie it up.
I respect the idea of the steel guard this time around because you're now once again fighting toe to toe with this similar weaponry. Although on top of that, Nanners had a rifle to work with. But the thing is, we started running out once again before the steel garden fully activated. I feel like there's a misunderstanding of that ult. That was a nice shot by Retro, by the way. But that we could have had Nanners in a position to run the steel garden, and then you have a double flash from the paranoia and also the arc rose into C site to just pinch through, and didn't work.
Hey, Sim just gets shot through the walls. Such a good read from Burger Boys. And they go back into safe positions on the other side of smoke, but TSM have to still scale up. Take this slowly as they can. Now droning up, and now Burger Boys are not afraid to just spam through smokes and just press back against TSM. Steel Garden from Recoil or no?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's doing something over at B. We'll go and check on him, and he's just a one-man army, I guess.
And forced the hand too, peeking out, and Burger Boys didn't swing together, even though they were just on pistols. There was an opportunity there, and now you have Recoil able to cut rotates while the rest are planning. And after the plant, 7 even has Rolling Thunder to guarantee the round.
One enemy remaining.
That's free.
And hello.
His Recoil is out for prey. He's just going wherever he wants. And Vora finishes off the round. That was interesting for TSM.
Yeah, and it looked very clean in the very beginning for Burger Boys. And I think it's just one of those moments where in the face of chaos, just like Icebox, for example, you're fighting toe-to-toe and they're at least warmed up enough to be able to fight back this time around as well for Burger Boys. And this early rubble control, or again, these one gear fights coming out from TSM. But you're getting good clutches and lurks coming out of Recoil. That's really foiling all the plans here for Burger Boys towards the end. Because they're adding a lot of tempo on their side, but also adding the lurks in the mid round. Look at this conditioning. They're faking A side. Sim's dead, but now they're just going to hit B side. All 4 of them.
And even the paranoia through the small room to delay Burger Boys from getting immediate vision into the site. TSM have a window to plant in, but there's still a lot of gaps that Burger Boys can exploit. Rolling Thunder, paranoia jumping in as Bonnie gets the spike down. And now TSM have lost their chance to win this round.
Yeah. I think Sim just didn't see how many players were actually alive or fighting against him towards rubble when he gave his life away, because he kind of should, if he knew or had the information that there was at least 3 players fighting against them, that should have been a call for TSM after getting that kill onto Alvin, that they should pivot towards C site for an open site. They did try to get out of like range of a Rolling Thunder on the defense, but I think all 3 of them got hit. So it was a miscalculation on that this time around coming out from TSM. And it's nice because Burger Boys needed that. They needed that round to get a little bit of oomph back on their second half to get that confidence on their attack side.
TSM won both pistols on Icebox. Burger Boys took the first pistol here on Lotus. So this can really dictate who gets wind in their sails for the second half. It's already a quick start for Sim. Burger Boys haven't even moved an inch yet, and TSM are even throwing paranoias at them. I think GMD wants to rally the troops and keep going, or just hold the corner. Both options are good, as Burger Boys now scared to heck have to reapproach, not knowing TSM are still set up for the fight again. What a flash! It's all of Burger Boys! And TSM ready to execute. Still 1 left to go, and it's Practo. 7's injured. Practo now has the spike and 2 flanking behind, and that's just teamwork for you.
What nice shots coming out from Sim in the very beginning. And again, we're just talking about how TSM's composition was going to be a tough time for them on the attack. So for them to still able to get 6 rounds against the Vice comp, it just shows that Burger Boys had good knowledge of what comp TSM was running, and they were able to just fight toe-to-toe towards this B and A side quite often and get value out of that. But now that TSM plays a defense, that Neon could start running free a lot. And Burger Boys have to be ready for that.
See, oh, TSM just have 3 walking down towards Rubble. And Alvin has to keep them in check. Wouldn't be surprised if TSM really pushed their luck. Look at this immediate flank. Burger Boys are just gonna, well, take advantage of the space left. The immediate plant. And Bora's on the other side of smoke, wanting to rally with everyone. There's TSM wrapping around through mid. And just with the stingers and the slides from Sim and even the wall to protect him and cover his tracks. TSM are something else. They're playing at a pace that Burger Boys are trying to keep up at. It's tough. Now it's just Nanners, 1v4, and TSM. Looks so good.
Yeah, still very good, though, for Burger Boys. Full eco, classics. They still get a clean plant towards that B site. That means the economy is going to be quite strong here for the next round. And you know that Sim would get into these moments on the defense that he's going to try to get an off-out or an outlaw as soon as possible. So getting that plant on full classics will allow for you to get, or should allow for you to get full armor. Just in case you have to fight against the outlaw. And you're already seeing it here. So half shields for some because you do have to buy util on the initiators. And that's fine too, that they went for the triple flank on a side and got punished here for Burger Boys. You had no wall really watching that flank, but now you have everything covered here at this point for the side here of Burger Boys. A bonus round for TSM where you don't have an upgrade for Sim with an outlaw, so he does definitely want to save for the op later on. And Burger Boys has an opportunity now to close that gap.
Both first rounds of the half have been TSM being crazy. Just pushing out immediately off barriers, being down, going for a flank. The Burger Boys are conditioned to just take things slow. Just be ready at any point. Check every corner. And I guess GMD has been caught and Sim has to take the mantle and he just gets sprayed down. So I guess this is going to be easier than Burger Boys expected. When TSM tried to go for a play, but this time Burger Boys were ready for it.
Seven's just trying to gamble here. 50-50 that he gets the right spot and only gets one. But they looked clean in the very beginning for Burger Boys, and somehow Vora was able to tap 2 before he falls in front of B. So that's not too bad for the bonus. We'll see if Seven can get more.
Got all his util. Fault line. Not causing movement from the player in the corner. Burger Boys have the setup, so it's going to be tough for Seven to isolate any duel here, especially with Retro playing within the site. The aftershock will force him out. Kind of a sort of isolated 1v1. Seven can't win, and Burger Boys are not going to let TSM get too much momentum.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great for them to shut things down right away as soon as they have the economy right. And you're looking at this point here for TSM, because you couldn't get too much damage out of it. You can't really get an op yet for Sim. So they are going for a rifle round with small shields. That said, this right here, it feels like this is probably some tape that they have on how TSM kind of plays with the omen smokes on the seaside cover. So you're playing out in the open through the smokes. Bonnie just sprays through that to get 2 kills out of it on top. And that's just a good study being done here on the side of Burger Boys. Now the fight towards the rubble control, and it's on the side of TSM.
Holy cow. So much being dumped into rubble. TSM come out on top. And Sim is that aggressive duelist that's just always going to be in your face, and that's why this Neon agent is perfect for him. If Sim is activated, there's not going to be much that can stand against that. And at least with the full team push on the right side, Burger Boys push through into C, take advantage of what they think is a weaker site, and dealing with a recoil, even while Flash is really impressive from Alvin.
Yeah, nice little turn away from that one. But you could definitely overdrive. You're probably going to wait for the fault line to come back up here from 7, so you could double initiator util and flood back in.
Here we go. We're good.
Right, overdrive. Sim gets caught in his own fault line and flashed and killed is not how they expected that to go. Burger Boys, well, they just hold the line and are just swinging so well in and out of cover. Now Bora and GMD are out in the open.
Nice.
They just get killed through the wall and the paint shell too. So GMD will be thankful to escape with his rifle still in hand.
That was just really well read, sorry, by Burger Boys. So everything was there for TSM, but it was actually a Retro's fault line, so it wasn't a Retro coming out from 7. He was holding right by the water, looking straight into the spawn, anticipating that there's going to be double walls and you run into a straight line so you can activate here with the overdrive. So he stuns the Neon right away, and it doesn't give a chance here for TSM to flood through, because he even hit probably more than one player as they tried to flood back across. And all that also cancels all the utility from that was utilized from both Vora and from Seven. And you have a beautiful post plant hole here on the side of BURG Boys towards the end. And now that's Showstopper available for their side too. And a very important ult for BURG Boys, because this is another force buy for TSM. And getting a Showstopper and turning this round over on the side of BURG Boys could actually give him a lead by 2 rounds if they get this one here.
I just finished saying, like, oh, Sim doesn't seem like you could stop him, and then there's the most perfect fault line you could have had. It looked like a team fault line. That's how good it was. Right on him. So now there's thorns, flashes, walls everywhere, all over C. So good luck to BURG Boys if that's even a thought.
Wow, how does the drone get through? Okay, there was a smoke being thrown by Nanners. That's why. So they're trying to find out where the Razor Vines could be. So they spot the first one. But this also might be a tell here for BURG Boys that they don't want any smoke towards the C site. Wall contact towards B.
Ooh, I can't believe Seven is still alive there. Yeah, BURG Boys having an unsmoked B is a good call to get in. Try to get out in the end. Sim, it's gonna cause some problems. Oh, Paranoia, that hits him perfectly. Once again, the util to suppress his duelist is so good. But Sim still lives, and that means he gets a kill in the end. But it's the duelist to watch is Bonnie. GMD tries to hold it down as best as he can within the site. Now has to be out of it. Armageddon from Practo. Try and catch TSM. And now the retake ensues, and it's just a recoil with the Sheriff. Such a back and forth. The high-low will end in. BURG Boys find themselves back in the lead.
Great util coming out too, and what saved them for BURG Boys is now not only the Showstopper, but also Armageddon. The fact that Bonnie was still able to get the kill onto Seven with that Showstopper was everything that allowed here BURG Boys to convert that round, because that allowed more numbers for BURG Boys to trade out against Sim that was a nuisance from the break room. And also the Armageddon isolated GMD into a 2 versus 1 right by the spawn, and then another 2 versus 1 against Recoil, who only had a pistol. So all of that worked very well in their favor. And this is what we were just mentioning before. Despite them losing that many players in the process, they're tying rounds together on the side of BURG Boys, but also should have broken the economy for TSM at this point. They should only have half buys on the side of TSM, if I'm not mistaken here. And again, that should give them a 10-8 lead if everything goes the way it's planned.
All according to plan. BURG Boys, man, they've been keeping these rounds so close. Now they built themselves up towards a 3-win streak, back in the lead after a 5-1 start, 5-2 start, I should say. So we'll see where BURG Boys end up and how Sim is gonna live on, because now it's been a couple of rounds where he's either fault lined or he's flashed or something is affecting Sim. And it's not really hitting his confidence, but it is forcing Sim to be out of fights in really crucial moments for TSM.
I don't know if they avoided the flash that was just thrown here by Alvin in the first place, but they're definitely just trying to punish him. So a triple walk down, Alvin's holding on the C side. Somebody has to probably start jump spotting from A site. No, it's going to get smoked instead. So all of them playing into the unknown for TSM. Vora's going to get this kill. Huge start.
Oh, wow.
Spike down A.
And even the flank is successful from TSM. They even got another chasing the tail of BURG Boys. They're just being pinched from the front and the back, but Retro and Bonnie just deal with both ends. What?
Yeah, that was huge. I don't know what the hell happened. Everybody just died instantly because Recoil just somehow got another shot into A main. But I think we were lacking a little bit of util to allow the players from the A site to really flood through and try to go for that pinch. I'm not too sure if GMD threw a paranoia or not. I'm gonna miss that one on that site because he was it definitely looked like at the beginning of the round that he rotated towards the A site, but there wasn't enough here to really pinch BURG Boys. And they salvaged the round despite losing 2 weapons in the process. They still have the 2-point lead.
And turn around that 3v5 is incredible from BURG Boys. And always being aware that Sim loves to fight over in rubble. Even without the neon wall, BURG Boys not just that much quicker to the trigger. This gives a lot of free reign for Bonnie. Satchel into the site. TSM want to cut off through the staircase. The Burger Boys are covering all their bases while leaving someone on flank watch too. So TSM are smoked off and have to find a way to wrap around.
So hard for them to retake. Unless they get 2 instant kills. Okay, now you're rolling Thunder in. You're going for it.
That was even without flashes or fault lines up until now. They're rolling thunder from the offense, rolling thunder
ult.
from the defense. Second and 7 killed on impact. And a man advantage for Burger Boys, stepping away into tree to protect the spike. And TSM can't hold a candle to this team now.
That was so nice towards the end. Rolling Thunder with an Armageddon was such a nice try, but you're ulting Nanners, who just easily TPs away, and Retro just... He's like basically dreaming. You know those dreams when you have a killer chasing after you and you just can't run fast enough? But somehow he made it through and crossed over? Yeah, dude, I always die in my dreams. It sucks. That said, though, towards the end, it was super nice. Look at that. I'm looking at it from the mini-mass perspective, but he just walked across, waltzed over, and those two staying alive inside tree was super important here to allow Burger Boys to capitalize on that round. So now at least he has Steel Garden on the side of the C site to play retake. And Sim's doing whatever he can.
And Burger Boys are getting so good at muting Sim. He's still getting away with kills, and 7 is always the one that can even up the playing field for TSM. When Burger Boys always are getting these first bloods. Albora's in this corner, swings out, gets the edge against Nanners. And it's Retro solo, at least with the spike, that has to explore somewhere else.
You're gonna see Vora start droning here, so he's gonna check towards B main because they already have the wall on C. So now you can just focus on A side, B side. Probably at 50-second mark, I wouldn't be surprised of some sort of drone. If not, want to use it for the retake. Nonetheless, though, Sim definitely looks like he's overheating a lot of times, but he's at least getting his one for it to create that space for the rest of TSM to try to trade with. The only thing that's difficult, unfortunately, is that Burger Boys are definitely shooting back. Now that flash gives all the information that's needed there for TSM. You break open that wall. Now, if you want to guarantee the round, you could even go for the Steel Garden to retake onto the site. Once the plant goes down.
Yeah, surely they know Retro's at... It's taking damage. 51 and a dream. An immediate fault line. The sense of someone in Waterfall. And a better sense out of Vora at the end. As TSM... not letting Burger Boys' scoreline get too out of hand. This is tough to call.
Yeah,
Burger Boys are just that close to a map 3.
And there was a chance there for that clutch coming through from Retro, sorry, because the fault line actually fully hit recoil. So it comes down to the 1v1 against Vora. But Vora has been pristine in his shots so far and in these moments in this series. Just finding like those key fights that allows TSM to stay within reach within touching distance of this matchup against Burger Boys. But at this rate, it's definitely looking like Burger Boys has a good grasp of their map of Lotus. They've won 5 rounds in a row before they lost this one against TSM, and you're going to look at the next ult cycle very soon here. So you're getting pretty close to be able to close it out on the side of BG or BB, sorry.
No vice wall this time for Burger Boys to worry about getting into C. Drone in, know where the Razor Vines are, deal with that. Now it's pretty free for Bonnie to not be as hindered on their way in. And you got the Steel Garden from Alvin. TSM escape out of range. And then you got this flank from TSM that gets cooked up every once in a while. And it's on its way from spawn. Something Retro has to keep in check. As soon as this door opens. And he tries to almost get the chance to win the 1v1 against Sim, but now he's got backup. And Burger Boys have to stop the flood. And it's Retro that keeps this close. 1 versus 2. How many times has he been the lone wolf? But now he looks on the outside in with Vora and Recoil. The newest additions of TSM. Just gatekeep and girl boss the spike away from Retro.
That's the tough part. They have spike control. The flash is not going to do much. First contact should be Vora.
First corner checked. Don't know if they could swing out of the left box. And a quick flick. Not quick enough for Retro. TSM in the shadow of Burger Boys.
They tried to double stun when they opened a door there for TSM. I respect it because you're trying to get somebody close to the door and fight him, especially when you saw him. And a flash, maybe you would have been able to turn it, and Retro still probably would have gotten two, but to get the third one. I mean, yes, he got hit by the paranoia from GMD, but that only gets you nearsighted. So he even closed that gap into that moment and win that fight against GMD. Very, very smart by Retro. By the way, 22, 14, and 17. This guy's farming as an initiator so far and keeping Burger Boys in this game outside of their duelist Bonnie.
And Bonnie top fragging both last map and this, knowing how important this match is for their first chance to go to playoffs. Here's a plant. TSM are scattering away from the Armageddon, and now regroup coming through baby doors, smoked off. It's going to make things tricky to support Sim, especially now that he's paranoid and has to escape away from the Seal Garden, and all the bombs being thrown from Burger Boys. Now the paranoia, the retake from TSM, the overdrive. Sim is let loose and put to bed as TSM at least flood in to finish off what he started, and TSM tied up 11-11.
Oh my gosh, we were just talking about old cycles on the side of Burger Boys who would have closed it out. But it's TSM being able to snuff out the Armageddon, the Showstopper, the Steel Garden, and getting value out of their own Steel Garden and their own overdrive. And now 7 has a Rolling Thunder to work with as well. The tides have turned for sure on the side of TSM, where you're breaking the economy, you're breaking the bank of Burger Boys at the best moment for TSM, at the worst moment for Burger Boys. Because now, if TSM goes for a flood retake or is able to stall something and gets the round with the Rolling Thunder, the next round is max bonus that you have here for Burger Boys. If they don't get a plant, look at Nanners and Bonnie. The max they get is 2,900, so they can't buy anything. The max Retro is going to have is 3,000. They're at the brink of, unfortunately, losing this series at this moment where TSM just starts popping off here since the timeout.
It's not the first time. I mean, Burger Boys lost 13-11 against M80 on Lotus. So it's like Burger Boys have always been able to have close maps against the top teams, but closing out these maps, closing out even the rounds that end up in pretty close numbers. Burger Boys are just that close, but they've been on the grind. They're doing like community tournaments in between the rounds of challengers, and they've grown a lot, especially since adding Practo in this split. So Burger Boys look better every split we see them in, and they'll have another chance to qualify into playoffs even if the series doesn't go their way. So see if TSM can get to the finish line, though.
Yeah. And thankfully, this tech pause is definitely going to slow down the momentum that TSM has been building in the last 3 rounds and give a chance here for Burger Boys to recollect themselves. Technically, they shouldn't be able to talk with each other, to talk about strats and whatnot, but at least individually, it'll still give them a chance here to just refocus. Because again, I mentioned Retro able to farm so far, and Bonnie doing a great job here on the duelist role. And now it's just for them to maintain their composure, to know that it's not out of their reach yet, not out of the grasp for them to be able to push this into a third map, where I think if we do get into a third map, TSM has been playing what, a double Senti, right? I think they're still playing old school Ascent with like a Deadlock and a Cypher, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, Analyst Desk, if you have me unmuted, and then just let me know later on if that's the case. But if that's the case, that probably could get figured out here in this current meta with the Tejo of how good he is.
All right, we are unpaused and we're ready to see how this map, how this series could possibly end out. And it's going to be an important Rolling Thunder from 7 and having to play his life, especially through this rubble war that sometimes happens. Burger Boys aren't going to show face there yet. If anything, they're going to try and test the waters against recoil.
You just want to flood into this, and that's the beauty of having the raise. You can break the util with the satchels. You can break it with the paint shells. Is Fate walking through?
The boys have been able to okay, recoil has his knife out. So for the whole squad did not expect that. That is an unfortunate first blood for TSM, but fortunate for Burger Boys in setting themselves up to go to match point. Now the fault line. 7 dodges that. Spike still hasn't been planted, so this is a rolling thunder moment for 7 and TSM. They flood in and are able to take it one step at a time with the neon wall cutting off the site in half. And 7 just crosses the road, doesn't look both ways, walks into the crossfire of Burger Boys, and they get up to match point.
And that wasn't a type of entry that I was expecting there from Burger Boys. We always talk about such good util to counter the util from the Vice when you have a raise on your comp. But the fact that, again, Nanners just throws a simple smoke and you walk through, and that covers all the visibility that you have from water and that you have here from top site. And she just walks through everything and punishes recoil and just allows your Burger Boys to fight back against TSM and deny them the Rolling Thunder value. And that was what was important here for the side of TSM. But thankfully, the other silver lining is that they have Armageddon for TSM on Vora right now. So they could still push this into overtime. But that was a much needed round for Burger Boys. They have money to work with. You have a Rolling Thunder on the attack. You could really flood into a site here and hold your last stand and try to push this into Ascent.
TSM cooking with the 3-man walk up right side. Alvin not kind of keeping that in check means Burger Boys won't have a solid option. If anything, the longer this goes, the better it is for TSM. They can start pinching Burger Boys from both sides.
And here's the conditioning. Sorry, I'm going to hold that thought. We're fighting towards the main.
There's so much fighting. They're all dead. All right, your turn, Dan.
Sorry about that, Levin. I was just about to say the conditioning was perfect on the side of Burger Boys. That forced recoil to use both of his Razor Vines into the C site with that one smoke from Nanners. And then after that, you could still Rolling Thunder into a C site. But TSM decided to push forward, and it was weighted by Burger Boys the whole time. Because of that one smoke and his C towards the spawn, they forced them towards him.
Wow. Proctor had what, like a 3 or 4K there. Now it's up to Vora to help TSM force an overtime, and against Bonnie and Retro, incredible. Wait a minute, Bonnie satchels by and shoots him through the crack of the, or just through the wall. That is insane. Dude, Burger Boys take map 2.
It just had to come down to Bonnie with a wallbang kill onto that one against Vora, because Vora was about